call the meeting to order, please. Tony, can you start us off with the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice requiring to New Jersey Code means all that satisfied by reporting news released to the Park Press on December 20th, 2014, stating that a regular meeting of the ToCN Township Committee would be held on March 25th, 2015, 7:30 p.m. at Town Hall. The notice requiring to be posted on the Township website, and a copy is on file in the office of the Township Clerk. Roll call, please. Yes, Committeeman Engel is not able to attend tonight. Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Here.
Committeeman Fitzgerald.
Here.
Committeeman Macnow.
Here.
Mayor Schatzel.
Here. Item number 1 is approval of minutes from the meeting of March 11, 2015.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Yes.
Committeeman Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Committeeman Macnow.
Yes.
Mayor Schatzel.
Yes. Item number 2 is proclamation for National Alcohol Awareness Month. Whereas approximately 15 million current drinkers in the United States are dependent on alcohol, and whereas young people begin drinking on average at 13.1 years of age, and whereas alcohol is involved in 50% of criminal assault, traffic, theft, fraud, vandalism, and sex crime cases in the juvenile justice system. Whereas it is imperative that we join with others in advancing efforts to strengthen the enforcement of our underage drinking laws and build partnerships among local agencies, elected officials, law enforcement, businesses, schools, and communities to prevent underage drinking and alcoholism. Now, therefore, I, James C. Schatzel, Mayor of the Township of Colts Neck, join the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence and the New Jersey Division of Alcohol Beverage Control, and do hereby proclaim that April 2015 is Alcohol Awareness Month within the Township of Colts Neck. Item number 3 is Ordinance 2015-3, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits to establish a cap bank. This is second reading by title. Bob, we do this every year. Since this 2% cap, we need a little update.
There's 2 caps that affect municipal budgets. One is the appropriation cap. One is the so-called tax levy cap. This particular ordinance only applies to the appropriation tax. Cap was set this year for appropriations at 1.5%. Municipalities are allowed, however, by ordinance to increase that by 2% for an effective rate of 3.5%. Highly recommended that you do this ordinance. The additional 2% would equal a little over $155,000 in budget flexibility, if you will, should you need it with getting under that appropriation cap. By the way, the budget that you're going to introduce tonight is under that cap by a considerable margin, but it's still recommended you do this because it would just go into your cap bank for next year and the year after that if needed, should you have problems preparing next year's budget. So it's a good thing to do. We always call it the so-called insurance policy. So that's kind of the skinny on that, if that's satisfactory.
That's perfect. Comments from the committee? Open up the public for any comments on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public portion and ask for a motion for approval.
Move. Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Yes.
Committeeman Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Committeeman Macnow. Mayor Schatzel.
Yes. Speaking of the budget, your township committee has, and professionals, including your chief financial officer and our administrator, have worked very hard on this budget as in past budgets, and I have a summary of what we've done at this point for introduction after I have done the bullet points here. The total municipal budget for 2015 is $12,173,643. This is inclusive of the $357,014 that will be raised by the dedicated open space tax. The municipal purpose tax will increase by 1.4 cents this year. What that equates to is that a home that's assessed for about $800,000 represents an increase of $112 in property taxes for the municipal purposes. As our administrator talked about, this budget is under the cap. $1,126,226 of surplus funds have been utilized to offset the budget. That's leaving just about $565,000 for next year or the future. There is no school tax deferral used for this tax rate or to offset the tax rate. State aid remained the same this year. It's just under $2 million. $6,784,534 will be raised by property taxes to support the budget. And our operating budgets for almost all of our departments remain the same as they have for several years since this cap has been put into place. Some major expenses and why we really had the increase of 1.4 cents. Of course, snow removal was another high year this year. Operational costs have been set at $430,000 with an additional $60,000 for snow control overtime. The township borrowed several years ago $2.2 million for cleanup costs associated with Superstorm Sandy. We've been reimbursed from FEMA $1.8 million of that. The difference, though, needs to be paid back by the township over the next 3 years. This particular budget includes the first payment of that, which is $139,000. Our pension costs for the employees that fall under the pension system also increased by some $81,000. So that 1.4 cent increase is really snow removal, Sandy repayment, and pension increase. We did it, as we always have, an aggressive pay-as-you-go capital program of a little over $300,000, including $30,000 for improvement for our recreation fields, $26,000 to replace the first aid squad's heating system, $18,000 for fire department turnout gear and a thermal imaging camera, $34,500 for a marked police four-wheel drive vehicle. That's in our capital budget. A little over $40,000 for police vehicle computers, radar units, and a new mandate required by law, which is an unfunded mandate, is to have in-car cameras. So any cars that are purchased moving forward, including 2 that we're doing this year, have to have those cameras in the car. $45,000 for a public works pickup truck with a plow. Our building that we're sitting in, this lovely building, needs a number of repairs, including those steps that you came up to today. And that's $57,000 put aside for a number of repairs at Town Hall. There's a new well that's needed at Bucks Middle Community Center. That's $20,000. $20,000 for computer upgrades throughout the department. That's really our IT budget for the whole township for the year. $8,000 for a court recording system and portable sound system, and $6,000 for underground storage tank removal and monitoring. That is, we need to do by law over at the Department of Public Works. So that's some of where your taxes go, and I appreciate how well everybody here worked to get the budget down as much as we could. So we should do the resolution first. Correct?
Yeah, we can. Sooner or later, there is an announcement about the hearing.
Sure. The public hearing on the budget will be April 29th at 7:30 at Town Hall here. So with that, I'm going to ask for Resolution 2015-40, resolution authorizing introduction of the 2015 municipal budget. Any comments, gentlemen?
Just for me, thanks to Bob in his final year and to John and Connorty's and their help in preparation of the budget, and certainly to all the department heads for their work in staying within the parameters of our existing financial status to get budgets in.
Mayor, I would add I think for another year we've stayed away from the temptation of using that deferred school tax as a panacea, which I try as I might. I think I understand it, and I spent a lot of time delving into it over the years since I got here, but I do believe at some point in time that other shoe is going to drop, and there's going to be a lot of municipalities in a bad fix. This one will be as a result of the effort made by all of you.
I think I have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Those comments? Excellent. And a roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orville?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNamara? Mayor Shatzel.
Yes. Item number 6, Resolution 2015-41, resolution authorizing self-examination of 2015 budget. Bob, we've done this in the past. It's been a few years. Why don't you give us a little summary of that?
Once every 3 years, for qualified towns that are in good financial condition, such as Gulf Neck, and literally, rather than have Trenton review your budget, your CFO can certify that the budget complies with all appropriate state laws and are in conformance with those state laws. So this simply is a statement by your CFO saying that he has examined what you just introduced and finds it to be compliant with law. And you can go ahead and do this resolution authorizing that self-exam.
One quick comment on this, Mayor, because I had paid attention to a number of years ago in other jurisdictions what this means, because we kind of treat it in a somewhat rudimentary, cursory fashion. But the reality is that this doesn't allow for us. I will tell you that DCA would have to review the budget if we didn't have this ability. And that does two things. One, it means that they're obviously reviewing the budget, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but their timing is horrific. So what ends up happening for those that are in that DCA situation, they don't have an approved budget until the budget year is nearly over. And that does two things. Obviously, you're operating in the hopes that your budget will be approved by DCA. But secondly, the bond rating is dramatically affected because those towns are trying to borrow money at a time that they don't have an adopted budget, which affects their rating. And we don't have that malady as a result of this effort. So it's every once in a while we should just probably mention to the world that this is as a result of the efforts made by the folks here. And it ends up saving us a lot of money. We borrow money at next to nothing interest rates because of it. Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald? Mayor McNow? Yes. Mayor Shatzel.
Yes. Item number 7, Resolution 2015-42, resolution confirming agreement between Teamsters Union number 11 and the Township of Colts Neck. Once again, some excellent work by our administrator, who was spoken about it, that is obviously coming to his end of his 25-year time here. One of the things that he easily could have left December 31st. But Mr. Bowden made it a point to make sure that the budget was completed before his departure and that our collective bargaining agreements are taken care of. And they're some of the hardest parts of this job. So we're finishing all those goals before he leaves. And Bob, if you want to talk a little about the great work, and I also commend our white collar union for working with the township.
That indeed is well said. So we're pleased to announce a settlement with the white collar union, the second of our 30 unions. I have 2 down and 1 more to go with the so-called blue collar union. It's a pretty basic agreement, but it is favorable in certain ways to the town. It's a 3-year agreement, 2015, 16, 17. It's an increase of 2% in each of those 3 years. While it changes the calculation for sick time severance pay, for the first time in this contract, it also, we paid the cap of $4,000 as a maximum payment, so that's a good thing. More importantly, perhaps, while longevity was increased by $150 on the existing scale, the most important part about this is that we've put an end to longevity with this particular unit by saying any employee hired within this bargaining unit will not receive a longevity award. So that's a management accomplishment that this governing body very much wanted. And that's it.
Excellent. Any comments?
I would like to move this. Of course, I don't normally vote for any contract that doesn't have a contract. As I'm bored, all of you having heard it, but for the first time, there's the beginning of a contract and a contract for new employees. I've always felt, and I get on my soapbox, that for us to live out and honor the obligation we made to the existing employees, we have to start cutting back on employees who have not yet contracted with the town. And this is the beginning of it as far as I'm concerned. This ends longevity for the white collar unit for new employees only, and I think that's the appropriate way to do it. And I think it would be remiss if I didn't mention mention that I'm always struck by the fact that our white collar union is the Teamsters Union.
Yes.
We didn't normally consider to be the Teamsters of old, but again, Bob, good job getting that done for us. So I move that.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Macno?
Yes.
Mayor Schatz?
Yes, well done. Number 8, ordinance 2000, because of what we just did, we can do ordinance 2015-5, an ordinance entitled the 2015 salary ordinance for the Township of Colchester White Collar Unit. This is first reading by title. Any comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Macno? Mayor Schatz?
Yes, we'll set the public hearing on this April 8th, 2015. Number 9, ordinance 2015-6, an ordinance of the Township of Colchester and the County of Monmouth and the State of New Jersey amending and supplementing Chapter 62, Shade Tree Commission. This is a first reading by title. First, you want to talk a little bit?
Yes,
about
just
your
briefly,
ordinance?
yeah, talked about it last meeting. We're making some minor changes to the ordinance that governs so-called street trees. Those trees are the ones that are typically planted along the street by the developer when subdivisions are created. And the issue that we had run into was whose responsibility do they ultimately fall upon when they fall down or need repair, or perhaps located on a homeowner's property if they want to take them out. So this amendment to the ordinance makes it fairly clear that those trees within the township's right-of-way are the obligation of the township, and those on the private property are the obligation of the private property owner, and actually give the private property owner some leeway in removing those trees after the maintenance guarantee is posted by the developer as released. So it's just, this was a genesis of Sandy. Obviously, there were a lot of street trees that came down in that storm, and just some confusion as to who was obligated to maintain and remove those trees. And it's kind of just cleans that up a little bit.
Excellent. Any other comments? Motion then?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
I'm going to abstain, and Mayor, just to let you know that I'm still not, I still haven't got my arms around the fact that a property owner could remove trees that may very well then obliterate the pattern of the plantings in an entire development, which was always my concern. But I will tell you the reason I'm not voting against it and I'm abstaining is I also respect when we have committee people that I respect and also the planner recommending it. So I'm abstaining because guys smarter than me say we ought to do it.
Deputy Mayor Macno?
Yes.
Mayor Schatz?
Yes, public hearing, April 8th, 2015. Resolution 2015-43 is a resolution authorizing application for the Colts Neck Alliance for the Prevention of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, funding for physical grant cycle July 2014 through June 2019. So Bob, this is something we've done every year for many years with the county.
Yeah, I think many of the members of the governing body have been the liaison to this very worthwhile group of dedicated citizens. It's a grant of $22,150, $5,500 and some, which has to be a cash match, and the rest can be in kind. It funds mostly programs. They have programs like Healthy Alternatives, they have various school programs for all ages of children, things like that. And as long as the grant can continue, obviously we'll get in line and take our fair share.
Excellent. Any comments, Chairman?
I think most of this money comes from the penalties that are levied on those certain categories of drug and alcohol offenses in the municipal court. So,
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
yes.
Deputy Mayor Macno?
Yes.
Mayor Schatz?
Yes, item number 11, resolution 2015-44, resolution establishing fees for township police special assignments, sometimes called road jobs, directing traffic or any special events at that point. So about every 5 years, this is looked at. We had a report, excuse me, from our police chief about how other towns are working. We were on the very low side of the road jobs for our police officers. So So through negotiations with the PDA, talking to the chief of police and the township committee, this resolution increases the pay by $10 for the police officers, and Bob, correct me, it's $5 for the township side of it.
I think, no, $8,
$8,
which is
I'm sorry.
unchanged. Finance officer believes the $8 is still a prudent amount, no need to change that yet. The $5 is if they run the car.
For the car.
So, yeah, so the only change here is $10 for the office.
Any comments?
I just have one comment on on the backup and the research, which is appreciated. They compare some of the other towns for the regular and how much the town gets and how much the officer gets, and clearly we're in line. But there's obviously a typo under Marlboro Township, because I'm sure it's not $75.50 profit. It's $7.50 regular. I just wanted the minutes to reflect that.
And just so you know, there was an anomaly too, so if there was a road job in Cold Snack that couldn't be covered by the Cold Snack folks, and another town came in, whether it be Middletown or Brookdale or Marlboro, they get paid at their rate, which is always higher than our rate. So it kind of, not really, we could use the word not fair, but it really wasn't fair to our officers that they should get paid less for the same job that an adjacent municipality was getting. So this kind of brings that in line here.
The only comment I got about it is that it just doesn't equate to be fair on some of these jobs. I mean, some of these things, I mean, I can understand charging, you're charging Jersey Central Power and all them people. But when it comes to businesses here in town, it just seems like,
You can't lose money. You raised this issue.
well,
No, we have to start somewhere.
well, Stonehill, then we should raise the price to the
And
price.
that's all being looked at as part of this.
No,
It's not in this resolution, but it is under negotiation.
That's correct.
So we should hopefully see an update on that another resolution in the near future.
But I think Committeeman McNamara raised a good point, that if let's assume, take delicious orchards, just for an example. If our guys don't do that work, they're going to have to call Middletown or something, and then they're paying $80 an hour, $75, whichever on the chart. So the anomaly that you noticed is true. Rather, our guys do it still on the lower side of the spectrum for police officers. And, yeah, it just passed along to each and every business in town equally. I don't know if that helps you at all in your deliberations for it.
what rate does the school get charged? Because that
No,
was,
they'll get that higher rate.
they get the higher rate, our schools.
Yes. Yes. They will get, everybody across the board will get the same $10, except for those that have a long-term 24/7 arrangement. And that's the one that's under negotiation.
Just on most of you don't understand it, I'm not sure the ordinance is consistent, because under paragraph A, it talks about a range of 63 to 99.50, and then under 1, 2, and 3, the only example it gives at $63. So there's no indication, we have a problem where if somebody is, suppose for whatever reason we negotiated, it is a range, and the negotiated is $70, does that mean the township is still stuck at $8 an hour and the officer gets the rest of it?
I think that range is taking the highest end of anything. If, was it $99.50?
Yeah.
If we start adding the high range of numbers, the overtime rate, the holiday rate, the car and everything, we start adding that all together. Under that contingency, I think that if the arithmetic's done right, it comes to
It does come out to be that, 99.
63 time and a half is 99.
So that's why the range is there. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not.
All right, and are we comfortable with that?
But why does it say for a township holiday rate is 82.50?
Time and a half.
That's time and a half.
And then the additions of the
The
township.
$8.05. Or it could be 12 and 5.
They don't get paid double time any of the rates on holidays?
Just whatever you see. Time and a half.
That's right.
74,
That's right. 82.50, 12 and 5.
So if it's on a holiday, it's time and a half only for the officer, not anything
No, it is.
additional for the.
Then the 8, then the car. Start adding up the high end of all those Both of them.
It does.
Thank you.
On the low end?
The only thing is people.
Right.
So low is without a vehicle.
$5 an hour per car is cheap.
And that's where everybody else is in
It's
line.
cheaper if it's not low. Your budget's really
But that ain't normal, time, you can't cover the gas.
The good news about this is it can be tweaked at any time by resolution. This gives us all a jumping point, and it was something that the PDA is very desirous of.
Yeah, let's get this moved, and my other thought was, who has police chief?
I do.
And maybe, Bob, if you could just do some nosing around, 'cause the only thing I don't see, what do these other towns charge for the car per hour? Maybe we can get some reflection on that.
That's not in our backup.
Right, that's not on our backup, but maybe we get that number, that Committee Margo's point might be well taken, if they're charging 10 or 12 bucks an
We're on the
hour.
low side, and if we change the long-term rate, we can do that in forthcoming resolution.
Mhm.
Aberdeen says the car's 20%, so it's $79, it's $16 almost.
Sounds like a pretty good deal. I think I might, let's use special detail on the police taking to the airport, it's cheaper than a car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move it.
Got a second, please.
Moved and seconded.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo?
Yes.
Committeeman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Committeeman McNamara?
Yes.
Mayor Shatner?
Yes. Next item, Resolution 2015-45, resolution authorizing formal transfer of funds from the 2014 budget. Time of year that we do these things. It's a transfer of $4,200 to recreation services and programs and from our social security system. Any comments?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo?
Yes.
Committeeman Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Committeeman McNamara?
Yes.
Mayor Shatner?
Yes. Item number 13, resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're right. Got it.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
That's okay. 2015-45A, resolution establishing 2015 fees for recreation facilities. So the background of this is that we've been looking at our fields and what we charge. We did a resolution a few meetings ago for the programs, mostly exercise programs that are done through our recreation department. And then we've had some ongoing discussion about the price for the fields for people from outside of town that would like to use our fields. We have a recommendation in front of us from our recreation director, and it is time sensitive, obviously, because baseball season is just several weeks away. So schedule requests are pouring in. So my recommendation is to move these forward. This can continue to be an ongoing discussion as we're looking at recreation as a whole. But we truly need to get these practices and games scheduled for baseball. Any comments?
Yeah. I don't think we should do it, only because it's got nothing to do with our home teams. Our home teams will still play. I think we should still figure out the right price for these things, because they're playing on our fields, and we can't make it now with the Sports Foundation and everything else. And the recreation, Sports Foundation's playing these fields, these are going out-of-town teams. And I think we should look at it a little bit more. Because I don't think, what we raised it, $5, $10?
$10.
And,
$10 per game or practice.
right.
Well, I don't disagree with you, we should take a look at it. But in the interim, we should pick up a couple $1,000s for this year that we would get by raising it $5 or $10 until we do figure it out.
I mean, there's nothing.
But if you set the contract now, if we do this.
Not a contract, it's a resolution.
We do the resolution, the contracts will be signed, and they will play all the way until November.
Correct. And that'll be about the amount of time it takes us to evaluate. It has to go back to Committeeman Engel because he's recreation.
I mean, the alternative is that we get nothing. Why would we do that?
Well, we don't know that, but if they put it out to.
Well, we definitely know that, because the rec director told us he's not booking. So if he's not
But he
booking,
doesn't book them. He does not book, Sports Foundation books. He books one field.
Permits.
he's got to get the rates.
He's in charge of one field. Sports Foundation is in charge of the rest of the fields, not him. That's why I think we should look at it. I talked to him and I said, do what you want.
So you're saying that we shouldn't get any income for this year? For these
I'm not saying that we shouldn't get any income. I'm saying that we should do is go like, Jim might only want to raise them though, $5 a field, 1,500.
And so all the teams that we turn away this year are going to go someplace else and they're not going to come back?
If they signed an agreement with US ALB or something like that, whatever this team was, they played on the fields for $10,000 last year, unlimited games,
Okay.
rather than paying so much a game.
That's going to be in check though, and that's why we need this done tonight, because that's a discussion that's ongoing. And that's why it's kicked up urgency a little bit.
Well, that's going to 11,000 this year, right?
But the amount of games, there was,
He already knows we want to shut some of the fields down in September so that so he could fix them up.
Right.
Rather than fix them up this week and play on them next week. And that's the problem, the fields don't get done. So then everybody's screaming, the fields aren't done, the infields aren't done, because there's no rest. And then, if that's not the worst of it, if they're right, then they play soccer on some of the fields for practice.
and all of that is under discussion with the Sports Foundation, rec, and this.
Right, the Sports Foundation should be here making this decision, not us. Or telling us what they're gonna do. We haven't got an answer.
And the cog here that's missing is that we need to do this resolution for that discussion to take
Only
place.
because that's what you're telling us. The baseball games for our teams will start baseball day. We can't stop them, because we're not charging them to teams. It's the out-of-town teams. It's what they want to make the schedule for the rest of the out-of-town teams.
So I have my baseball commissioner is trying to negotiate the deal with the outside teams and would like this done. There's so many moving pieces here that this is going to allow us, you and I, to get where we want to be. But without this, we're at a standstill, and then we lose a lot of ground. And then we don't need to have the discussion, because there won't be anybody playing.
Once we sign this resolution, they will be set the fees for this year.
Correct.
And there'll be no more discussion.
I disagree. I think there's discussion on the amount of play, control of play, rest of fields, all of that. But without this tonight, they won't have that discussion with us. So there is some parts here, moving parts, and this is one that I feel it needs to be taken care of so we can continue to do what you and I agree on.
I'm interested in knowing, I apologize for addressing the question from me first. Why won't this be discussed this summer? Why do you think it won't be discussed?
Because they don't need to.
Who doesn't?
Who are they sign a contract with?
I don't really sign a contract with you, we gotta do it. We passed the resolution.
Yeah, but we didn't have any control. That's my argument. The Sports Foundation leased out our fields, not recreation.
We're going to change that.
We can't change it once we sign this.
Well, the beauty of this is fees can be changed by resolution, just like we just talked about the police off-duty rates. It doesn't require ordinances and things. If through this further discussion, you want to change these fees and think that's the right thing, you're free to do that at any time.
And your committee member was right, they won't be effective until next year, but I'm afraid of missing the income that we do. And I'm interested in seeing this empirical study of whether anybody does leave or change money over $5.
But the $10,000 that's paid does not come to the township. It goes to the Sports Foundation. So whatever they charge, whatever we set the fee, it's got nothing to do with us. It's how much Sports Foundation wants to give us to fixing up our fields or whatever. It's got nothing to do with it. It does not go into recreation budget.
So why you're adamant?
Because why are we setting the fees so cheap? We have no control once we do this.
Well, these fees aren't cheap. I mean, you don't have to go very far back in your memory banks to remember it was $25 for the season.
It's only 35.
Per game.
No, it was $25 for the whole season for one field for the whole year.
Right. But none of our teams in town will pay that.
Correct.
But that's a good thing, right?
That's right, we don't want to change that.
But
But anybody who comes from out of town is going to pay those rates.
the rec players in our town play on these teams that are outside of Colts Neck, as travel teams that come in. So that's the connection here. So the majority of the I won't say the majority, but the people that are coaches, commissioners and all of that are doing rec and they're doing travel, which are all these outside clubs that come in. So there is a tie-in, and that's
Once-
why we want
Once,
to get them all
whatever that
set
US,
down at the table.
they
Yes.
set the tone on who gets to play and practice and everything else here, not us.
Well, I think
That's
Only
when,
one field we have out of 13.
that's gonna be changed.
And the one field that we have, we get $9,000 out there, one field a year. The other 13, we have no idea.
Isn't the idea, wasn't kind of the idea to make it some autonomous, where we didn't have to have a great role in managing these fields, but I thought that was the end game. We wanted it, and that's what the public, that's what the public has been asking us for, is to take a step back and allow the Sports Foundation to step in and assume a greater role in maintaining the field in town, so we don't have to do it. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving them autonomy, they're raising the funds, they're maintaining the fields. That means our guys don't have to do it. Our small,
Then why did we just approve $30,000 to fix the field?
because they need to get fixed.
But not the field that we're renting out, the fields that they're renting out.
I mean,
Wait,
whatever.
that's in the capital budget,
Yeah,
so that's not part of the topic. It is,
these are
I think we're
substantial
expecting-
improvements to the field, not maintenance. You're talking capital improvement. They're not raising the kind of money that we raising for capital needs. They can't do that. There's 10,000 people in the whole town, where do you think that's gonna come from?
Definitely an issue that needs to
If
be
they weren't playing
continued.
that hard, we wouldn't need to work on that hard. The grass doesn't get a chance to rest.
I said before, I'll say it again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want the fields to be self-sustaining, if you want the township, as a government, to take a step back from taking care of these fields, then you're gonna have to give them the autonomy they need and the funding they need to do it. So, you can't have it both ways. If
The
you
road
want to do it,
department
they
still
want to
knows
do it.
them and everything.
What's that?
The road department still knows them and takes care of their other.
I understand. I mean, we're not going out and mowing them.
The township is, the road department is.
Of course we are. But the volunteers can't do that. They're not the equipment to do it.
Mayor, point of order.
Yes,
May I move this motion?
sure.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Orga,
No.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McNamara,
Yes.
Mayor Shatz.
Yes. This will be an ongoing discussion, but if you get the,
Well, we should at least share with Committee Angle who was not here today, the spirit of discussion that was had. And if he, Mayor, if he needs any assistance, I'm more than happy to stick my nose in it.
appreciate that. Item 14, motion to accept consent agenda, which is the following resolutions. 2015-46, resolution authorizing County of Monmouth Mosquito Control Division to conduct aerial mosquito control operations within the Township of Colts Neck. Resolution 2015-47, authorizing execution of A1 consent form, planning board application number 717, Manor Homes for waste water treatment and disposal. 2015-48, resolution authorizing execution of A1 consent form, planning board application number 717, Manor Homes for gravity collection system. And resolution 2015-49, resolution authorizing release of application fees, planning board application number 424, Palavelli for $307.44. Comments?
Just a quick comment, and I think I speak for Committee Orville and myself. I just want to talk about the manor homes. This is not, we're signing a consent form, which is different than we're all warm and fuzzy with the concepts. This was the litigated matter that came out of a builder remedy lawsuit, and I apologize if there's anybody that was here, I'm repeating myself from a couple of weeks ago, but at the end of the day, it was a litigated matter that was ultimately negotiated from 125 units down?
126, I think.
126 down to 48 units. And so these are, the consent form is the words from DEP, not from us. You need the township signature for them to get the permits they need for the gravity lift and also for the gravity feed and the lift.
This is, I talked to Glenn and people tell me this is just so they can go and get the approval process.
From DEP.
Yeah.
What you're certifying is that they comply with all local laws and ordinances. Simple as that.
And I apologize for breaking my record.
No, it's an important, it's a big change in our town. It's
We're going to start building.
it's a first, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Absolutely. See no other comments?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Wargo?
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Mayor McNamara?
Yes.
Mayor Shattuck?
Yes, administrative reports.
Just one thing, Mayor. The ToCN Lions Club has done this for many years now, the so-called Derby Day wine tasting. At Bucksville Park on, looks like, what, May 2nd? Since I went to the University of Louisville and many derbies at Louisville. This is dear to my heart, always the first Saturday of May, by the way. Anyway, they're looking for approval for their wine tasting now.
We have the Mensa also, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry, thank you.
In the future, we could probably add that to, by an amendment to the consent agenda verbally during the meeting. Maybe Mayor, in the future, you have to just bring that up before we move the consent agenda.
Thank you for the catch on Mensa, the group that we're not members of.
None of us got asked again?
We missed the application. Anyway, so the two of them, I'm sorry, thank you.
Great, and their insurance certificates are
Yes,
all taken
they
care
are.
of and all that.
Very well.
And no historical issues with either of them.
So a motion would be in letter for both.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? So carried. Thank you. Go ahead, Mayor.
Great. Mike, motion to approve vouchers?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. The total of the vouchers, $2.8 million and change. Again, there's often a case that's transferring money funds from the Freehold Regional District. Board of Ed is 1.07, 1.08 million, and the local is 1.28 million, the lion's share of that. And I will point out as we go forward in the exploring the shared services with the county on that service, one of the vouchers is for repairs at Avis Service. So we keep hunting around for the right place to do it as cheaply as we can do it. We still have safety there. So with that, I would ask for for approval of those vouchers.
Move.
Roll call, please.
Wait a second.
Second. Thank you, Tom. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Orgo?
Yes, except for Pine Tree.
So noted. Committee Man Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Committee Man McNamara?
Yes, except for security.
So noted again. And Mayor Shattuck?
And yes, abstaining on TNN.
So noted.
Thank you. Township Committee reports. Michael? This runs that way.
It's the beginning, it's the that end of the month. All mine are kind of jammed this weekend. And they got snowed out.
Russell?
You want to do it?
Oh, that would be great.
So, good bit of piece of news to report. So, a project that was started when Fitzgerald was mayor a couple of years ago, continued on, pushed through me, is now coming to fruition under Mayor Schatzel. And that is a concept that, an internship program with Freehold Regional High School District for local government. And just coincidentally, as we were starting to press the concept, they were also in the midst, through their law and public service program, of also implementing a program. So the marriage kind of took place, and the mayor and I attended the meeting yesterday here. At our invitation, we had representatives from most of the other sending districts, the Freehold Regional High School District here, as well as the supervisor from Law and Public Service at Colts Neck High School, as well as the director of curriculum for Freehold Regional, Dr. Moore. And this project is going to come into to effect this year, actually. They're going to do a beta in April, kind of like a little test run, and fully implemented in September, where students will be placed ideally in their sending municipality to intern with local government. And it's just a great program. It's something that some of the towns have been doing anyway. We have been approached a number of times by students looking to intern at local government. Marlboro representative said they've been doing it for some time as well. But this is something that, especially kids that have interest in law and public service, and specifically local government, are just going to benefit from tremendously. These kids are, I've had the opportunity to speak with these kids, to speak in front of these kids, They are dynamite kids, the kids of this particular program. They are sharp kids, very enthusiastic, very goal-oriented, and will benefit greatly, both from an educational perspective and a practical perspective, with these internship programs. And we look forward to it. So that's it on that program.
Can I just add to that? I know you guys finally brought to fruition we had talked about. When I first met with the superintendent, Chuck Jameson, the thought process was to go beyond law and public safety. So as this one grows, I'd like to see other ones. And you know, selfishly, Samantha was in Animal Botanical Sciences Academy at Freehold. And I don't really see any reason why, for example, you know, kids that are in that regional couldn't be doing things. If we happen to have a Colts Neck kid who's going to that program, they may very well want to intern here for example, Shade Tree or you know, some of the other things as liaisons to the committees, because we had some success in having our own kids last year do be liaisons to the committee in addition to the township.
Yeah, I get it. So I don't think we appreciated the magnitude of the undertaking on the Freehold Regional side in bringing this to fruition, because they have to get state approval. So the seniors in this program have a seminar, and it took upwards of a year to get approval from the state and to get the appropriate personnel trained to be able to implement this program. And it is specifically, at this juncture in any case, geared for the kids in that program of law and public service as part of their senior seminar. They actually get credit for doing this. And that's kind of the idea. They're going to evaluate it. We'll have to do write-ups on them. It's a pretty involved thing. And yeah, I guess if it works, expanding it is certainly definitely an option.
Well, it's a good start. They really did pick up the ball on it.
Yeah.
It was an idea from us, and they did it into reality.
Yeah, it's a good one. And the great participation from the other municipalities as well. We appreciate that. I had one other. Attended the Friends of the Library meeting last night. First thing they asked me to express to the Department of Public Works, and I called Mr. Thompson directly, thank you. Bad luck. They had their annual book sale this past weekend, 2 weekends ago. Last weekend, I'm losing track of time. Yeah, well, it happened to be the Friday we got that unexpectedly large snow, and the DPW really came through for them with the snow and ice removal, just to make it feasible for them to have that book sale on Friday. So they're very appreciative of that, and they also are appreciative because they had a minor leak inside the Friends of the Library room inside the library that was caused by a simple gutter backup. And the DPW came really right away and took care of that for them as well. So they're very appreciative of that. They are involved. Something that you may recall, those that are regularly here, we approved the concept of an arboretum here in town, and they've become active in that as well. The library has the maps for the arboretum are now available at the library. If you're interested, taking a tour of what has now been designated as an arboretum, that being our municipal complex, maps will be over there for you to take a look at.
Actually, the map's always been there, so now it's accurate.
Yeah, it's accurate. And you can actually, they're printing them up in a large enough form where if you want to do it, you can actually take it in your hand and walk around and look at the different species of trees. They also have an annual art show every year, and they're at the incipient stages of planning a student art competition in conjunction with that art sale, which will kind of add another dimension to that, kind of be fun for that. That's it.
Tom?
I don't have anything.
You know, that does remind me, and Committee McNeil raised the issue that Arboretum approval came from a national organization that's been approved. And I was remiss in not talking about the fact that Dr. Bulk sent me an email. We missed our meeting this last month because of the snow. But he worked to put this stuff together, looking for this national designation. And it came through. We expected the process to be months. And you may recall we passed a resolution in support of that. And they've since gotten their that designation that came from that national organization, which is terrific, in like 2 weeks. I think it just doesn't usually happen. But I would encourage, as you know, we're across the street, so I walk around. There are some fairly significant species of trees planted around this municipal complex that most of us don't know here.
Excellent, thank you. I just have a few things. One is in your mail in the next few days, if not there already, will be our Department of Recreation and Parks Spring Program. Things that are always great in town, including our Easter egg hunt, Memorial Day parade, and of course the fair. Before we know it, the weather's trying to at least allow those things to happen. From the Historic Preservation Committee, reported, now it's official, that on the 12th of March, the Colts Neck Historical Society, which was an organization that was before the Preservation Committee that we have now, was a group of citizens that were very active, became less active as people moved away and such, and they have now dissolved that society, if you will, and they had some funds left over from their hard work over the years, and they were gracious enough to donate that to our Historic Preservation Committee within the township in a total of $52,120.81. So that has been transferred to our trust fund in that area to continue our historic preservation within the township. The First Aid Squad, it looks like we're on a good schedule. If any of you would like on your way out, there's a bloodmobile right in the parking lot of the First Aid Squad. I'm sure they would love a donation if you're so inclined. So that's all I have, so we'll go from comments from the public. Jeff, you want to start us off tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, everyone. Jeff Sauter, 41 Ann Street, Colts Neck. I just wanted to, I had an opportunity to do some fact checking going back through an Oprah request that took a little bit to get some stuff out of our town attorney's office, and I think the administrator's office as well. But back in December of last year, I know, Russ, you were very poignant at your points you're making, more so than Mike Fitzgerald, but the two of you guys were the driving pulse behind the committee's, I think, position in terms of legal fees, and that comments that you made were roughly $25,000. Well, I did some fact checking just so that people know here, and I don't know if you guys know, but you can take these numbers down if you want, if you haven't already. But as it relates to Oprah, as you guys indicated, those bills all came out of Dilworth Paxson, our town attorney's office. It was kind of hard to follow some of them, particularly those in what we'll just call the general category, because you couldn't really tell what cost bucket or cost center some of these services that our attorney was doing for us and how that can be reconciled maybe could be a little bit of a challenge. So the one fee that's just under general, I can just pick that's a minimum amount, but there's probably a little bit more. But anyway, at a Dilworth Paxson, that's just related to Oprah, $17,575.52. Again, that's a minimum. As it relates to Oprah and denial of access according to the Government Records Council. The other issue related to Indian Harbor, which is the town's insurance for the litigation through, and these are just for 2013 and 2014. These bills are still going, as you guys are well aware. Indian Harbor, that does the insurance for litigation, through 2014, that was $14,517.35. Now, from what I can tell, there's a $20,000 deductible, so there still is, if it hasn't already hit, there's a bill on its way, I'm sure, for the other $5,482.65. So anyway, what you guys were indicating where it's $25,000, the cost through 2014 is more like $37,575.52. So I just wanted to clear that up so you guys are all spot on and know what the taxpayers are paying. Thank you.
Other comments?
Yes. If you recall at the last budget workshop, I suggested that we could have the county GIS program take a look at our roads, give us precise mapping of the length and that. I spoke to our head of GIS, said absolutely they can do that. So I spoke to Tim Enfuso. He's going to refine the list of roads in each category, and work with them, and that will be forthcoming. So you'll have, then a complete list of all of your roads, the length to the foot and the size, so that when you do planning for paving that, you'll be able to have a better grasp without having to pay your engineer to gather data like that. It will be available. And then potentially, you can have a file literally on each road, when it was paved, and do a baseline visual inspection of each to see their condition and whether they need immediate attention, maybe next year or the year after, or if they're in great shape. You know, whatever categories, however you'd like to do it, and begin developing a plan that will, I suspect, allow you to get a timeline for the residential cul-de-sacs versus your collector roads, and hopefully put them each on a schedule that will vary based on the need, based on traffic levels, and hopefully allow you most efficiently plan future paving.
Good to have friends in the county. Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's very happy to do it.
Excellent. Any other comments? Jack?
I have a question for Bob. On the special police assignments, that's an old issue here, it goes way back before the Clinton. Just give me a ballpark figure, how much money actually goes to the town?
Well, we said $8.
Well, not under the new proposal. Just pay
Was
us
it
a
total?
Yeah, just-
I'd be guessing.
Would it be $1,000?
I think it'd be more than that.
No,
Much more than that.
much, is it, when you say much more, what do you mean by much more?
Well, I mean, there's just the Delicious Orchards themselves. I mean, think of the weeks before Thanksgiving. They're a month. They're out there, 7 to 8 hours a day.
Would you say
For a month.
5,000, 10,000?
We can find that number.
Okay, yes.
Would that come in the income statement, under other revenue received, something like that? I'll ask John.
Yeah.
He knows.
That's why we have a CFO for it,
Oh, he knows.
That's answer those questions. You know where to find them, right, Chuck?
I know.
Any other comments? Jeff?
Yeah, just really quick, can you give us an update really quick? I know last meeting, if anything changed on the replacement for the administrator's position?
Progress.
Yes, I'm going.
Okay, thank you.
This one, in the budget process and stuff, did we, I know you made a big thing about it. Are we gonna do roads?
So the discussion will continue about bonding.
Okay, that's.
So outright, so outside right now.
But
So my answer is yes, but I'm one of five that will vote on
Mr.
that.
Durkin is supposed to prepare for us a, Mr. Rhodes?
In the works. I know he was measuring some of the projects that I asked him to just 2 days ago. I got a call on that. So that's in the works. When we get the number back, I will be doing my best to convince my fellow township committee that roads must be paved this year, and the only way to do that is to bond some money. See no other comments, I will close the public hearing, and I'm sorry, did I miss somebody? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I had one. What was the amount we were getting for the police when we got special assignment? Was it between $80 and $95 an hour? What was the,
There was a range, the top
The
range
range.
was 99.50.
99, that's a total?
I forget.
That was a time and a half.
That's the time.
That was
Gonna
an
have some holidays.
It was like $65 an hour.
Generally speaking, an officer's gonna get $55, the town's gonna get $8, and then an extra $5 to the town if there's a car.
I think we'll look at it. After we're done, we'll take a look at it.
Excellent, resolution 2015-50, executive session comments,
Move. Second.
roll call. Or,
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? None? Not planning to come back in public session tonight?
Thank you.